So how did my past life regression change my life? Good morning, my friends. It is I, John, on the back deck. The sky is blue, the sun is shining. The deck is wet because we rained all night. It is a beautiful, beautiful day, and the coffee is lovely as well. Wanted to hop on and make this quick video about the effect the past life regression had on my life. You know, I often tell the story about how I kind of held off having a past life regression. I had 19 psychics tell me about my past life, and I was really trying not to go there and not to, and I didn't want to be that guy who thought he was some historical figure in a past life. It just didn't fit with what I wanted to do in life. You know, I didn't want to be that weirdo, that guy who thought he was Napoleon. And when I finally got to the point where I was just, no more, I'm not going to have no more psychics are allowed to tell me I need a direct sign. And then I was reading a book called Edgar Casey on the Millennium. And in there it said John the Beloved would again be named John. And I was like, now this wasn't a person telling me. This was a person telling me, but through a book that was written about something he said back in the 30s and 40s. So I decided to go ahead and get to regression. And the main reason I wanted to get to regression was not because of wanting to understand that past life, not at all, or to understand past lives. I went to the regression to debunk it or to experience something that I could disprove. When I got there, I met a very professional psychotherapist who guided me through a meditation and then sent me home for a week with a recording of the meditation for me to train to her voice for a week, so that when I came back to do the regression, I was very comfortable with her voice, which I thought was a brilliant move. When I finally went into the regression itself, the first thing that I actually saw was looking straight down. I was standing, but I was looking straight down, and I had ropes in my hands and nets in my hands, but I could see the ground, and then I kind of looked to the side, looked down, and I could see bare legs. And in my mind, this was great because it was like, well, apostles always wore robes. This can't be true. This can't be. He can't be an apostle if that's what I'm seeing. It wasn't until much later that I discovered what I was actually wearing was something known as a fisher's coat. It's a fisherman's, basically a Galilean one-piece bathing suit. Because had you been wearing robes when you were hauling fish up out and you fell overboard, the robes would actually pull you under. And so this was basically a fisherman's attire. When I finally did have the experience of meeting Jeshua, which if you really want to hear what that's felt like, there's a video on my channel called 2 Moments from My Regression. And if you want to find anything on my channel, there's a little search function up there. Type in the word that you're looking for. There's also a regression playlist, which you can find a lot of playlists will have categories of things you can go through. When I finally met Jeshua, I had an experience that was life-changing for me, John Davis, in the present. And the reason it was life-changing for me is because I experienced something pure. And I experienced something that was so without fear and blissful that I had never experienced in life. And you know, for John of old, that fisherman on that beach, he left everything behind and followed this man because this man gave him a glimpse of everything. This is what it says in the regression. He gave me a glimpse of everything, and now I need to follow him and be where he is. For John Davis in the present, feeling that pure love and that regression, because I experienced it again. I experienced the entire situation again. I came out of there, first of all, kind of in a little bit of shock. I was like, what was that? It was, and I completely understood why John uprooted his life and left, because it was so completely um, all encompassing, and it blows your mind to understand that there's this feeling out there that is so beautiful, and words cannot describe it. Words are so imperfect because it's so beautiful, and you feel so perfect yourself in that moment. You feel like, and it's not perfection as in knowing you weren't before. It's as in you've set down all of your imperfections and they just don't exist. You're just living into a perfect experience. And so for John Davis, coming back to the physical world after the regression, I literally had to take some time to really comprehend what had just happened. And my life has been um, a journey of developing that feeling and being that feeling and being the love that I experienced, and realizing that all the fears, the anxieties, the stresses weren't there. There was no place for them there. And that as you do your studies of religion or spirituality, you find all these little quotes about, well, the book of John, perfect love drives out fear. Great line. So in my life, I began to uh, do my best to emulate that feeling in life. And as I did, I watched my world around me change. And what was so interesting was the only people who in any way, shape, or form reacted negatively were the people who were so invested in there only being one way to God. They're the only ones who ever gave me any hassle or any struggle. When I went to India with a man, people lined up around the block to meet me. It was incredible. It was an incredible experience. Um, but I think it's because when you in life are doing your best to experience that pure love and live into that pure love, the world will reflect that back to you in beautiful, wonderful ways. But it always does begin with the choice, because here in the physical, we're inundated with everybody's choices, everybody's expressions. And what changed in my life after that regression was understanding what all they're really showing me when they're showing me negative things is they're showing me their fears. They're showing me their personal feelings of inadequacy. They're showing me their judgment and their hate because they feel safe in their velvet cage of their religion. They're I'm seeing this just fears and anxieties that they're living rather than just being loving and just being caring. And so for me, what the whole idea of the change in John Davis's life was I became far more loving, and I became far more able and compassionate to see other people's. But one of the greatest lessons I learned was that I deserve love too, that I am not unworthy. I am not a wretch, as Amazing Grace would say. What I discovered was that I too am one with that feeling. And I often say God speaks in feelings, not thinkings. That's because words are imperfect, and all thinking has come with words that are imperfect. And in reality, it's just simply the feeling of love that John of old experienced on that beach and John of new experienced in that regression. And if it weren't for that regression, there wouldn't be 1,400 videos on my channel right now. That's what drives me. That feeling of creating that love again here in the world. That feeling of being that love so others can see that love. That feeling of having the desire to show everybody else what I saw. And how did it change my life? It let me release the physical life in very big ways. It'll let me come back to my true oneness with God. And do I still have my moments? Of course I do. We're here in the physical world. We can't be perfect here, but you can do your best to be as perfect as you can. And understand perfection is a subjective thought. You know, for some people, perfect is the beach, like me. You know, other people, perfect is a mountain. You know, but it's not the place; it's the feeling. That I feel good there, they feel good there. It's both perfect. It's a matter of coming back to the feeling and that expression of God within you that feels good, and you put that good feeling out to the people around you, and you just love them for who they are, no matter what, without a condition. You know, people always talk about unconditional love, but even the concept that you have to say unconditional means there's a caveat. This love is unconditional, right? It, unconditional doesn't even come into the expression of what I felt, because the thought of unconditional didn't exist in the feeling. That's the thoughts of the mind. And so the question that I get asked is, how did it change my life? And I hope this video explains how it changed my life, because it changed my life forever. And it changed my life in such amazingly beautiful ways. I live a beautiful life, and I will give people rope, and if it gets to the point where they're starting to attack me, I love myself enough to say, no, I'm not going to go down that road with you, because that's your journey, that's your trap. And you know, I all I can do is offer off ramps, put out my beliefs, my stories as my truth, and if people want to choose that belief, that is totally up to them. I'm not asking anybody to change. I'm just showing a different way, which is what Jeshua did for John all those years ago. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.